Hello and welcome to Your Schools. I'm your host, Lynn Turner Fitzgerald. Amy Schendel joins us today. She is the coordinator of the Fine Arts Program for School District 2. I want to thank you for being here. Now, if we could say Schendel, or
Yes.
we could say Schendel, right? Would you prefer Schendel today?
Well, no, yeah, technically it's Schendel, but I do get introduced as Schendel a lot in this
Good.
town. It sounds fancy.
It is fancy.
Yeah.
It's almost French.
It is.
Or something.
Sure. Well, welcome. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So you are coordinating, okay, first of all, let's go back and define fine arts
Sure.
for...
So Fine Arts in Billings Public Schools encompasses all of our music programs and all of our visual art programs.
Okay.
So that's what I oversee. I oversee about 68 teachers and all of the programming that goes on
K through 12.
K through 12.
That's a big job.
It can be. Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, well, one of the coups that we should talk about first of all is the marching band saga.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Dial me back to a time when every school had a marching band.
Yes. Yes.
That's true, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And lots of us grew up in the schools in that time when we had marching. Were you in the marching band?
Oh, no.
Okay. I was in the marching band at Skyview. And I
Congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you.
What did you play?
Thank you. Clarinet for a year and then saxophone the rest of the time.
I would imagine that's not that easy to play music while you're marching.
It is not. It is not. I mean, it's one thing, just to march in time and in step and make formations on the field and then add the element of performance on top of that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of brain waves and synapses and things going on to make that happen.
Choreography, it's performance.
It
it's
is.
And then you've got a drum major.
Yes. I was the drum major when I was at Skyview, so I directed.
Ooh.
And then for 4 years at the University of Montana. So I'm a big marching band lover.
You are.
I am.
Yeah.
I really am. And so about 12 years ago, somehow through coordination of the high school programs and my job at that time, I've only been in this position for a couple of years, but my predecessors got together and started talking about the idea of not having mandatory marching band programs in our schools. And for someone who loves marching band, I understand that can be a sad thing. But I think the other part to understand, and this is, coming from somebody who lives in the music world, but I'm also married to a high school band director, so I understand. It's a lot of time and effort before school starts, early mornings, late afternoons and evenings. And then really there's that component where if you don't require it of the students, you make it only volunteer, you might have a teeny tiny marching band.
Right.
And so with the requirement portion, there are actually kids, believe it or not, that don't love it as much as I do.
Oh.
And I know. Or they're just busy. I mean, that's the honest truth. We have kids that are working long hours, jobs way into the night, and so to get up early or to stay late, that's really, really hard. And so what was happening was they would lose kids from the program entirely.
Oh.
And so when you start to weigh those things, yes, the component of being at the games and supporting and that camaraderie and community is so big and so important.
It is, yeah.
But by practicing simply pep band music in class, they can accomplish that same thing without the marching component on the field.
So they could be in the stands doing the
They always
music.
are. They always are,
okay,
yes. So all of our high schools, they still kept that part of it. They're in the stands performing. The crowd still gets to hear them and get hyped up by them.
Yeah.
And, you can do that in individual class periods throughout the day.
Okay,
and
sure.
still accomplish this great sound. And the kids are excited to be there, and they're excited to be a part of it, at least most of them. And
Now, do they get a credit for being in band?
well, yes.
Or orchestra?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yes, we get credit for any of the classes that we're enrolled in the high school, and students do have to have a performing art credit when they come to high school.
Okay.
So, yes, of course, the goal for any music teacher would be to keep them playing all the way, or singing or performing all the way through their high school career. And so what they found was their retention is much better. with the students within the program. And students, they have to make X number of games, so many out of the total, and they're able to do that without, necessarily giving up jobs or sports or other things.
Right, because it happens within the capsulized day.
It does. And so then, a few years back, a few of us were just talking and saying, it would be kind of cool. What if we did an all-city marching band where it was just volunteers, just anybody who wanted to. And so this idea has been kind of percolating. And so I've been in this job for 2 years now. This is my 3rd year. And last year we got a new band director at senior high school. His name is Sam McKenzie. And he happens to also be a big marching band fan. In fact, yep, he led the drum line at U of M that my son has been a part of for some years up in Missoula. He also went to Akron, Ohio for his master's, and they have a monster marching band program. So I just one day, we were at my house, in fact, and I said, hey, what would you think about this idea? And he said, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. So he took the lead. He had 2 helpers, so Aaron Schendel, my husband from Skyview, and then Barry Snodgrass, who is one of our assistant directors at West High. And they, for essentially 2 weeks ahead of when school started, the kids would come out on the field and practice.
Wow.
And they put together a show. And the beauty was, this year where we were starting school after Labor Day, they were able to perform for the very first home game of senior, the very first home game of Skyview, and the very first home game of West.
Wow.
And now the pep bands will take over.
So is it just a one and done performance for this band?
3 and done, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so all of the kids came together, they all played together, they did the show, and then they did it 3 separate times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not knowing all the necessary components of a marching band, are there certain instruments that you have to have in there? Since it's voluntary, could you have 20 clarinet players and a trombone?
Right.
No.
Well, we're lucky enough that some kids do play multiple instruments.
Oh, great. Okay.
So there were some of them that when they signed up said, well, I could play trombone or I could play tuba, whatever you need.
Okay.
Or same thing, clarinet and saxophone and that sort of thing. Louder instruments can be helpful on the field. I will say there was one piccolo and she nailed it. Wow. You could hear her over, it was wonderful, wonderful.
Good.
And they ended up with really a nice instrumentation in the band, which happy accidents, that's a great thing, but also kids being able to double and adjust where they needed to.
Yeah.
And I think some amount of recruiting, like, okay, we need a few more drumline people, and so those directors would reach out. And
so as a former drum major, were you instrumental in instructing anyone?
I was not. I was not. I wanted so much to be a part of it this year. But those 2 weeks I was really deep in preparing, well, not only for the school year and the duties that I have when teachers come back to school, but we are hosting Montana's All-State Festival this year in October. We do this once every 4 years.
Band, orchestra?
Band, orchestra, choir. So it is 400 musicians throughout the state of Montana that will be coming to Billings in October.
Okay.
And so all of that music, their folders, everything. So it's quite a process from auditions to when everything is ranked and ready to go.
Right.
And then this year I'm responsible for getting all of that organized, all the music ready, and getting it shipped and sent out. So we were just really deep in that land at the time. But next year I'm planning to help with the marching band.
Okay, you go.
I'm ready.
So who does the auditioning? Obviously you're not traveling to all these 400 students to audition them.
No, so for All-State Music Festival, every, basically in this May-June window, teachers in schools throughout Montana submit auditions, and it's all recorded auditions. They submit them to a website where it's run through there. And then that all comes, basically it lumps them together, for instance, soprano ones. And then we have people that, usually about 2 per instrument, and these are music teachers throughout the whole state, that will volunteer to listen to those auditions and score them and rank them and use rubrics and whatnot.
Well, so is this just Class AA schools or all schools?
This is all schools.
Everybody gets to play.
Everybody.
Well, that's awesome.
It is.
So this happens every year, just not in Billings every year?
Correct, yeah. So we rotate between 4 locations. Billings, Great Falls, Bozeman, and Missoula.
Okay.
And so when it is hosted in our town, so it's the 2 days that MEA conference takes place, where teachers have conferences and students are out of school, always the same general part of October. And the same time that general teacher conference is happening, there's a music teacher conference happening. So MEA, Montana Music Educators Association. So all of the music teachers from the state of Montana converge in one location, and simultaneously we run that all-state music festival.
Wow.
So yeah, it's...
Now, is it up to you to select the music?
No, so our guest conductors pick that. So we choose guest conductors. So knowing that this was going to be my task this year, I've been working on it for bits and pieces over a year and a half since I got this job. And I chose conductors. Now, if I can be totally honest,
it's only television.
I know it's only television. I'm the first woman in this position in Billings. So I decided for my first conference, I was going to hire a slate of fierce women conductors.
Okay.
So we have fantastic conductors coming from really all over the United States. So our choir conductor is coming from Washington. Our band conductor is coming from Pennsylvania, and our orchestra conductor from North Carolina.
Well, now back me up a little bit. I didn't realize you were bringing out-of-state talent in for these students.
Yeah, the conductors.
As every year that happens?
Yes, and those conductors are usually well known not only in their own realm, and often they're collegiate conductors, not always, but in that area, but they also do a lot of honor groups throughout the United States.
Oh, okay.
And so they kind of, there's sort of a circuit, if you will, of people that are well known for those sorts of things. And part of that is they have to be great at working with students, this age level. They have to be great at coming in and making magic happen in 2 days' time.
Because they just don't have that much time with these kids.
Exactly.
And what about what's on the students though? This is a new person.
Yes.
Conducting
so the
them.
students are supposed to come with their music well prepared.
Okay.
And the conductors have provided all sorts of things: rehearsal notes, videos, listening examples, information that they've put out to the students so that they can get to know the music and get to know the conductor ahead of time a little bit. But then they all show up in the same space and make this incredible music happen in 2 days' time.
It does sound a little bit like magic.
It is.
There's just a little bit of magic there.
Yeah, a little bit.
So where does it go next year?
So next year we'll move to Great Falls.
Okay, and what will your position be next year?
Next year, kick my feet back. No, I'm just teasing. I won't have any responsibilities with regards to the festival in that location. I will go, I'm part of it, our teachers go, all that sort of thing, but it's not the same kind of work and preparation.
Okay.
So.
Well, here back home, how many programs do we have throughout the district that are, and I'm going to say band and orchestra and choir?
Sure. Absolutely, yeah. So in our music programs, so through our K-5 level, we've got general music teachers that work with students either a half hour per week or an hour per week. It grows as they get a little older.
Now, does this teacher rotate through schools?
Most of our elementary teachers have about 2 schools that they serve.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of them serve more because they like a certain grade level. We have certain specialists that love working with those littles, and so they're happy to travel around town and do that.
Okay.
Then when we get to the middle school level, our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders can choose to take band, orchestra, choir, and then our general music kids would be only 6th graders. So 6th graders that don't take band, orchestra, or choir, they get to take general music, and that's just exactly what it sounds like. General music instruction. They do a lot of different things in that. But our band, orchestra, and choir students that start in 6th grade, they grow those skills in the ensemble. Sometimes they're able to take multiple things. So we do have some kids that by 7th or 8th grade, or maybe into high school, want to take orchestra and choir and things like that. And so a lot of the teachers in schools work with them that way.
Okay.
And then at the high school level, that band, orchestra, choir continues, but some of the opportunities open up at the high school level. Lots of extracurricular things like jazz band and swing choirs and a cappella things, and eclectic orchestras and things.
Well, are those organized through the district, or do these students just come together and kind of do their own
Yeah,
thing?
the individual teachers in the
Teachers.
building
Oh, I see. Okay.
really organize those.
Okay.
And they try to find something that group of students would get excited
Right.
about and passionate about. And sometimes that changes from year to year. Sometimes they have a good thing going. One of the things that is starting to be introduced into our schools now is a thing called modern band you'll hear out in the world, which is really exactly what that sounds like. Bass, guitar, drums, piano, voices, kind of that cover band idea. But there's a skill in teaching that, and sometimes extracurricular, potentially a curricular piece as well. Sometimes students have the opportunity to take things like jazz improv and theory, or music theory and history and stuff. So lots of opportunities in that music K-12.
Well, so these eclectic groups that get together, do they get performance time?
They do.
They get an audience?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So either on the regular performance, they will often get to perform as a part of that. Sometimes they will do extra things out in the community.
Okay.
Certainly in December, you'll see an awful lot of our, especially choral ensembles, but lots of instrumental ensembles out in the community as well. There's often one date that happens where an entire Saturday gets devoted to performances at Rimrock Mall.
Oh, yeah.
And they even have 2 locations, 2 little stages areas, and that's a lot of our middle school groups. So lots of things going on, but really throughout the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's shift over now to the visual arts side of things.
Yes.
Tell me about those programs.
Yes, so our visual art offerings, they actually start in the 4th grade. So many of our classroom teachers, of course, in those younger grades do many art-based projects and things.
Sure.
But as far as being instructed by a certified art teacher, our students get to start experiencing that in 4th grade. So in 4th and 5th grade, they have, and those teachers, they serve 4 to 5 schools each.
Okay.
They're all over the town.
Okay.
But they do some wonderful introductions to elements and things like that students will get excited about visual art. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, again, we have Art 1, 2, 3 throughout there. And as they get a little bit older, the projects, of course, get a little more in depth. Sometimes they get to use more mediums. Lots of them like to incorporate clay and things like that. And then as they get to high school, we have what I guess could be sort of more the generalized programs of Art 1, but then once you get past that, you can start to specialize. And we have students that will take pottery or ceramics, students that will take jewelry classes, oil painting, advanced art. So they start to specialize in different mediums and areas a little bit, or continue to explore more of the broad-based programming as well.
Would that involve more than one instructor? I mean, from pottery to jewelry?
Yes, yes. So our high schools all have, it varies a little because our school populations are different, but I would say 4 to 6 art teachers at the high school level.
Per school?
Per school.
Oh, wow.
Per school.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and those teachers either have specialties or they develop specialties and sometimes it's, you get a teacher in who has a lot of experience in a certain area, and they sort of build the excitement over that medium and idea, and then they kind of launch a program in that direction.
Bring the students along with them.
Yes.
So would a student have the opportunity to go visit another school that was offering a specialty they wanted to take?
Not really. Not really. That would be tricky to do. Most of the specialties that we find that are the most popular are offered at all the schools. So we do try to create equality in that way and create those offerings throughout the individual schools.
I noticed on your website too, you have a lot of community partners. Some really important community partners.
Yes, and I think when it comes to our visual art, one of the most important and connected is our Yellowstone Art Museum.
Right.
They do an incredible job not only of showcasing the work that's being done, but also of inviting students there to participate in things going on. So throughout the year, they do a program called Yam Teens.
Okay.
And I believe I want to say 14 years old and 14 to 18. I could be misquoting that a little bit, but 2 Wednesdays out of the month, students get to go and they have either somebody that comes in and works with them on a specific thing, or they have studio time, or they create a specific project together. It's a wonderful thing, and they get kids from all over the town.
All over town.
And what a great way, you know, I think in the music world, those kids get to connect more often.
I would
They're
think
doing
so.
festival things
Yeah.
together and galas and honor groups.
Right.
And in our visual art world, maybe not so much. So this
It's a
is a
little more
beautiful way.
individualized.
Yes.
Right.
Beautiful way for them to connect with students from around town and around the area. And then also the Art Museum programs throughout the year a showcase display exhibit for our 5th graders
Oh.
and for our 7th, 8th graders.
Okay.
So those take place, and it's about 3 weeks of time where their artwork is displayed in their young people's gallery, and then we always have a big reception that parents and
that's
kids come
nice.
to. Oh, and they're so proud. They
I
walk in the
bet.
door.
Who's
and
more
they-
proud, the kid or the parent?
Good question. Hard to tell.
Yeah.
Hard to tell. And
Right.
you know, you watch the kids walk in and they're just, I mean, they make a beeline to try to find their piece and their artwork.
yeah.
And the parents are excited, and we always have a little, you know, a cookie for them there.
Sure.
And they also, the neat thing too is that all those art teachers come and they meet and greet.
Wow.
And it's just a really beautiful time where they get to connect with those
Yeah.
with those teachers too.
Well, you're obviously quite passionate about the arts.
am.
Tell me, what's the benefit of students engaging
Absolutely.
in any music, visual arts, any of it?
Yeah. My true core philosophy is that public education is about educating the whole child, about educating us as human beings who not only, yes, read, do math, think critically, those sorts of things, but also have compassion, that are empathetic, that are going to go out into this world and make it a better place. And the arts, yes, there are components. We talk about, you know, how it supports other curricular areas, and there's no
Right.
doubting that. Yes, you can boost reading scores through music and art. You can boost mathematical, I mean, talk about the equations and the things that go into understanding rhythm in
Oh, yeah.
music, or the fundamentals of visual art and things. All of that is relevant and good, but it's also important in and of itself, because what it does for us, we can't get somewhere else.
Right.
And so
Do you think it's an equalizer?
I do, and we try to make it that way. I will say, when it comes to, let's take music.
Okay.
Let's take somebody who wants to be, and I was a choir teacher for a long, long time. So come into my choir, no equipment necessary, you got your voice, good,
Yeah.
we'll be fine. But when it comes to maybe our instrumental programs, there's an assumption, well, I can't do that if I don't have the financing available.
Right.
But we have put things in place that anyone can participate.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely anyone. There are community partners, like you said, Arts Without Boundaries, that provides instruments for students who can't afford them. And they're instruments in good working order. They're
Right.
not from the back of a closet.
Yeah.
You know,
Does
they're-
that student then take that instrument for the entire year?
They do.
And use
They
it
do.
and then return it?
Yep.
Okay.
They absolutely do. And so when these partnerships, when that nonprofit organization is looking for funding, writing grants or doing fundraisers, they can say, we were able to put instruments in the hands of
Nice.
this many kids throughout the year. And just this morning when I got to my desk, there was a thank you letter from a kiddo
Aw.
who got an instrument this year, and it's really beautiful to read that. And so I think, yes, we want to offer it to everyone and make it possible for anyone to participate, but also kids find passion in these areas that they might not otherwise discover. They learn what it means to be critical thinkers and listeners, and also to be on this team.
That's, I was just thinking the team concept as well, especially for the musical groups.
Absolutely.
Not so much the visuals, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Because each one
Nobody
of
sits
you
the bench.
creates one
Yes.
sound,
Yes.
and it comes from everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
Wow.
it's important and it's powerful. I was talking to an elementary music teacher yesterday about the importance of playfulness when it
good.
comes to exploration. And, you know, again, in the vocal choral world, that's a really personal thing, and it can open people up. It's super
Sure.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
But the importance of that in our world, I think, can't be understated.
Well, there was certainly no play when I was taking piano lessons.
No play.
Oh, there was zero play.
Very, very
Just play the
regimented.
keys. Yeah,
Yes.
that was it.
Yes.
Well, it sounds wonderful. Amy, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Sounds like a lot of fun and a lot of work
Yes.
for the programs. But
Yes.
how enriching for all the students.
Absolutely. And really a fantastic group of teachers behind all of that.
Sounds like it.
I get to promote them, but they're doing the work.
Okay. Well, again, thank you, Amy,
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank
and
you.
thank you for joining us on Your Schools. We'll see you next time.